Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our last live lesson. Just posting this into Teams for you. I'm sorry that it posted about 3 times yesterday. I don't know why it's scheduled that. I don't know, but it did, so never mind. Right then. Oh, it's all telling me that it's all live and stuff. Please excuse the, sorry, really firing my face in. Please excuse the sleepy appearance and the fact that, hello Fletcher, come on in, good boy. The fact that I am a couple of minutes late. I have been working since 8 o'clock this morning and it has been a bit mental trying to send all the emails that I need to send. So please excuse me just putting my moisturiser on. A girl's got to keep looking young. Well, I say looking young, looking semi-decent. So I'm sorry I couldn't do a live lesson with you yesterday. I was in school all day. Hadn't planned to be in all day, but I ended up being pretty much all day. And teaching year 10. Now, we are going to look at go on Fletcher, you can do it. Go on. We are going to look at an exam question. Come here. We're going to look at an exam question today. You haven't done one of these before. They are the easiest question, I think, on the planet in terms of your exams, because they are literally, you're telling a story. So the plan is that I'm going to go over how to do a narrative account, like the basic do's and don'ts of a narrative account. And then we are going to plan we're going to plan the one I've set you together. It's going to take you a little while. It's probably going to take you the full 75 minutes or whatever to do properly. You can use colour, you can use labels. I don't mind if that's going to help you set it out. Now there is on your PowerPoint that I've set here we go, a little grid that you are welcome to use and abuse. Hello, Bonnie, come on in. You're welcome to use and abuse that grid. It'll make more sense as I go on in the lesson. But yeah, just follow along with me. Are you coming up, are you? Excuse me, my dog grumbles. Really. Follow along as best as you can, and then we will, if you've got any problems, give me a shout. I do have a lesson at 11 and a lesson at 12, but I will be on Teams on my phone as well as my computer, so you can give me a shout if you need it. Say hello. Right, a narrative account. A narrative account is the second question that you will get in the Cold War. Now, they are a little bit fiddly in terms of how they set these. They're not hard to do, but the subject matter can be a little bit tricky. Now, last year, the last time an exam happened, it was the Hungarian Uprising, the one I've set you today. I know it back to front because I marked it, so if you need any help, give me a shout. They are usually an event. So something that has happened in the Cold War that we have learned about, an event that we have learned about, and you have to tell the story. But in previous years, they have used a time period. So be aware that your narrative account may not just be an event, it could be a series of dates. So let's get into my top tips then. And they will make more sense as we go on, but we're going to go for it. There is an example question on the PowerPoint as well, should you need it. Right, how to do a narrative account. You only need, nice voice break there. You only need to do 3 paragraphs, okay? So paragraph number 1 is your start of the story. That can also be known as your cause. You then go to your middle, also known as the event. And then you write your 3rd paragraph is the end of the story, your consequence. Okay. So you are essentially writing a story. It's just a historical story. I'm bringing you a little bit closer so you can actually see it. So you want to talk about what caused the event. Then you want to talk about the event itself, what actually happened during the Hungarian Uprising. And then the end is the consequence. If you do want to see me go over like dot by dot the example answer, if you look back on this YouTube channel to the 9C one, I do go over it a little bit in more detail, but we're going to use the Hungarian Uprising together rather than do the example, because I think that might confuse you a little bit. Your question will say, write a narrative account analysing the key events of da, 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 da. Underneath there, I should say, it will then say, you may use the following in your answer, and it will give you 2 bullet points. Now, we've seen bullet points in our explain question before, where it has given you the 2 bullet points, and I've said you can use them, you don't have to, you don't get penalised, yada, yada, yada. And I've said that in your Germany course, and that's fine. That's right. That's spot on for that particular course. That is the same for when you do the explain question in Elizabeth, and it's the same for when you do the explain question in the crime paper. You do not have to use the bullet points. However, let me make this abundantly clear, Year 9. In the Cold War, when you are given the 2 bullet points in the narrative account, you have to use them. Let me repeat that. When you are given the bullet points in the Cold War in the narrative account, you have to use them, okay? They are part of the assessment criteria. I, as an examiner, because I'm marking, going to mark it again next year, like when we get exams. As an examiner, I was told last year that I needed to look for that. If a student has not gone and used those bullet points, there is a lack of understanding of that particular event, because your bullet points will fit in to one of these paragraphs. So essentially, when you look at the question, your 2 bullet points will form 2 of your paragraphs, and you will be doing the 3rd one. So they're actually helping you. You might not think it, but they are. So it is incredibly important that you use those 2 bullet points, because they shape 2 of your paragraphs. Now, you're probably thinking, Miss, why are you saying this? One specific piece of evidence. Surely you need that throughout the narrative account. Yeah, I'm not saying that. In order to get the full 8 marks in this particular type of question, you need to mention something very specific to that event to show the examiner you have a deep understanding of the event that they have asked you to write a narrative account about. So, for example, in the Potsdam Conference, I think I did it in the 3rd paragraph. Yeah. In the Potsdam Conference example answer that I have put on your PowerPoint today, I talk about how it led to the arms race, or that Truman was a anti-communist, or the fact that they didn't tell them about the Truman didn't tell Stalin about the atomic bomb being dropped. Something that is specific and relates directly to the event that could be potentially used as a bullet point. You effectively need to put your examiner head on as if you are going to be in my shoes rather than me being in your shoes. And you've got to think, what could me as an examiner include as a bullet point that is a specific detail that a child needs to write about? So I will highlight this in the one that I think is good for the Hungarian Uprising, but it needs to be a specific detail that is not mentioned in the bullet points, that is not generalized, that is unique to that situation. Okay, so Potsdam Conference, it is the fact that Truman's a anti-communist, or the fact that the leaders change, or the fact that the atomic bombs dropped, or the fact that they start to disagree. It's the end of the Grand Alliance. Something specific that relates to that era or key event. And finally, this is the most important one. Like, this is the pièce de résistance. Sorry, Mr. Hussein, if you just saw that and I butchered your language. When you're writing a narrative account, the whole thing is meant to be what we call logically structured, is what the mark scheme says, and coherently organized. All right, and that means that the examiner can see that you know what happens in chronological order, who's there, what they do, how they do it, the start, the causes of it, the event itself, the consequences, and you can then link those ideas together, that they can be one seamless story that you could read. It's almost as if you are reading a bedtime story to a child, and it makes sense from beginning to end, and the start links to the end. Hoping this makes sense. So when you are linking in a narrative account, you need to be pulling in your English brain here. So you're probably thinking, Miss, hang on, that's a separate subject. But you need to be thinking about your English skills here and your literacy skills, and thinking, how do I connect one idea to the other? Well, that is through connectives, okay? So things like, however, moreover, furthermore, this led to, as a result, firstly, secondly, thirdly. You are putting these particular words and phrases throughout your answer, not just at the beginning of the paragraph. They need to be throughout. They need to be littered. If you look in my answer, I have underlined and put them in bold, these different connectives. So let me show you just very, very quickly. This is my first paragraph, paragraph 1 of the question. And I have put 4, 5 connectives in there. In my second paragraph, there are another 4. In my third and final paragraph, there are about 6. Okay? You've got to put them throughout your answer in order to achieve the marks. Without doing that, you already mark yourself down to a band 2, is what we call it, between 3 and 5 marks. Ugh, come on. So band 1, 1 to 2. Oh, not, yeah. Band 1, 1 to 2. Band 2, 3 to 5. Band 3, 4 to 6. 6 to 8. Geez, that's really hard to say. There's a lot of numbers. But if you're not linking your ideas together, you're immediately, bang, in the middle. Don't bark. That's because I clapped. Good boy. Good boy. You good? Good boy. Oh, sorry. So you've got to be linking your ideas together. Say hello to Fletcher, everyone. So it's really, really important. Now, remembering that you don't have to get every single detail perfect. You're not going to have time in a narrative account. You've only got about 10 minutes or so to write this answer. You're not going to get a detailed textbook answer for your narrative account, but you've got to get as much detail in there as possible. So let's plan an answer together and it will make much more sense. Right, I'm going to put you down. It's all right. I'll pop you on the bed. Excuse me, you've got my bum in your face. I do apologise. Sorry, my board is not very good. And I'm very frustrated by that after being in school for the past couple of days when my board just wipes off and it's beautiful. This is incredibly frustrating. This board will be going in the bin after lockdown. Or after Friday, really. Hello, Bonnie. Okay. Please bear with me. I will be with you in just a second. Okay. I'll just put the bullet points up as well. So let's then start with, let's go for purple, the cause. So the thing that starts off, I'm not going to give you this like kind of detail by detail because I don't think that's right. The start of the Hungarian uprising, it starts with Stalin dying in 1953. He is replaced then by Khrushchev in 1955. Okay. Our next thing then that we know is that Khrushchev gives this secret speech, doesn't he? And in that speech, it talks about de-Stalinization. Meanwhile, in Hungary, we've got Rákosi, who is unpopular. This leads to connective riots in the streets because of the de-Stalinization process, and it leads to Nagy taking over. Okay, good place to start so far. Nagy asks for more freedoms. And we know those freedoms are things like press, speech, travel. Okay. Now we're going to talk about our specific detail, and I'm going to put this in a nice bright pink so it's slightly different. I'm even going to write it in capitals. Oh, there we go. Here is your specific detail that you need to include. Nagy wants to leave the Warsaw Pact, and that is the trigger event that goes means that Khrushchev goes into Hungary because he wants to leave the Warsaw Pact. That is a unique situation or scenario to the Hungarian uprising. Without this can't happen here. Okay. Now we have actually already ticked off one of our bullet points. Because we've talked about Nagy, we've talked about how he wants freedoms and he wants to leave the Warsaw Pact. I'm going to take a photo of this while you look at it so that you can use it in your narrative accounts, and I will pop it onto Teams for you. Okay. Next section then. So let's go for the middle, or the event. Now the middle, what happens here is on the 4th of November, Khrushchev invades Hungary, doesn't he? Now I'm going to put this in a different colour just so you know. This is where you can then bring in that he brings in 6,000 tanks and 200,000 soldiers. This is probably not going to be as long as your your start paragraph. Your middle paragraph is not going to be as long. Don't worry, it doesn't matter. So the Hungarian have rebels, don't they? They use guerrilla tactics. And have radio broadcasts. Although they are no match for the Soviet invasion. So there is a ceasefire that is called on the 10th of November, but it is worth knowing that there is sporadic fighting in 1957. Okay, and that is where you would leave your middle paragraph. Once again, I'm going to take a picture of it so that you've got it. Notice we have ticked off Soviet tanks because we've talked about an invasion. So we've already now got ourselves at least 4 marks, but we're probably now in the 6 mark banding because we've talked about specific detail unique to the Hungarian uprising. So this is where your work from yesterday comes in about your consequences of the Hungarian uprising. So this is your end paragraph. Right. So we know that Nash is arrested and executed. And he's replaced by a guy called Kadar. We know that Soviets see this as a win because they maintain control of their empire and keep their empire completely in check. We know that the West condemn the action. But there's no military help. But we do know that they raised $6 million in aid to help the Hungarians. And that is also specific extra information that you know about the Hungarian uprising, which is unique to the situation. Once again, I'm going to take a picture of this and pop it into Teams for you. Now, if you use the plan that I put on to Teams and obviously this video, you will then be able to structure yourself a narrative account, and it is pretty straightforward. Like I said, make sure you read through that PowerPoint that I have made, because with all due respect to the other teachers in the school, I have marked this. I know this inside out. I know what the examiners are looking for. This is direct from the exam board, the people that you are trying to get the marks off. If you don't follow what I have just said, you will not get the marks. And that's not me being harsh. That's not me being horrible. That is not me being out of order. That is being quite realistic in terms of what they want. It is a straightforward process, but you've got to use 3 paragraphs, link them together, talk about the bullet points, use your specific knowledge, use and abuse this plan, and you will get 8 marks. Any problems, let me know, give me a shout. And like I said, I'm going to pop these onto Teams now. I'm literally going to do it as we speak so that you can see that I've done it. All on Teams now for you. Anything you need, please give me a shout. I've got half an hour between a lesson. And yeah, if you want anything, please let me know. And then I will see you on Monday. We don't have a live lesson on Monday. I've just set you a quiz because it is our last lesson. So just set you a bit of a fun quiz. And it's been an absolute pleasure to teach you. It's been wonderful. I don't know who your new teacher is. I think you might get Miss Gulliford, the new Miss Gulliford. But I can't confirm that. Here if you need me. I will be making more things on YouTube if you want some help for your GCSE. Yeah, take care. Bye.